So sometimes questions on wrong entries are also asked. So instead of finding the adding one term or removal of one term or replacement of one term, so you will be asked to find the correct average also. So they find the average for a given data, and later they find that some entries were entered wrongly, and you will be asked to find the correct average where the correct entries will be given. So now we'll see how to find the correct average. So in this case, say for example, a teacher calculates the average marks for 25 students in maths as 89. So later it was found that for 3 students, marks were wrongly entered as 55, 45 and 71 instead of 58, 60 and 78. So what is the correct average mark for the 25 students? So we will see the working. So here in this case, they have found the average as 89. So but this average is wrong because they have entered 3 entries were wrong in this. And a correct set of entries is also given, and we are asked to find the correct average. So now proceeding for this, we will see how to do the working. So for 25 students, so average mark is given as 89. So we will find sum of marks of all these 25 students. To find sum of all these marks for this 25 students, so we have to multiply the average with the number of terms. So multiplying the average with number of terms, we have got sum of marks of this 25 students. But this sum is wrong because there were some wrong entries. So from this we will take away the wrong entries. So that is minus. The wrong entries are 55, 45 and 71. So adding all the wrong entries, and we remove that from this wrong sum, and now to make the correction we add the correct entries. So which is 58 plus 60 plus 78. So now we have corrected the sum. So this is also a case of replacing a term. So there we saw replacement of one term. Here more than one terms are replaced. So this sum which is wrong, from this we take away the wrong data and add the correct data. The sum is corrected. Now to find the average, so we will divide this throughout by number of terms 25. So as we are replacing a term here also, number of terms remains same. But instead of doing all this, so we can use a simple logic to work it out. We will see what is the difference between the wrong and correct entries, and that difference we divide by the number of terms. So that value is added or subtracted with the given average. So we will see how to proceed with that. So the correct entries are 58, 60 and 78. So I will put a tick mark to mention that these are all the correct entries. So we have to add all this, and we have to find the sum of the wrong entries, so which are 55 plus 45 plus 71. So these are all the wrong entries. So find sum of all the correct entries, find sum of all the wrong entries, and then we have to find the difference. But still more easier you can work out. Instead of adding all the correct and the wrong entries and finding the difference, for each entry you can find the difference. So that will be still easier for you. So when finding the difference, so if the correct mark is more than the wrong mark, so you take a positive sign. So it's not that always the correct mark will be more than the wrong mark. So sometimes this correct mark may be lesser than the wrong mark also. So then you take a negative sign there. So here correct mark is 3 more than the wrong mark, and the second term is 15 more than the wrong mark, and the third term is 7 more than the wrong mark. So now difference between the total sum will also be equal to difference between the entries. So here difference between the entries or the total sum, so we get as 25. So we have got the difference between the entries as 25. So though the difference between, though this is the correction between 3 terms, so this 25 is evenly distributed among all the terms. Here number of terms is 25. So difference is also 25 and number of terms is also 25. So when you divide this, so we get 1. So which implies that each term, that is each 25 terms, mark is increased by 1. So it is a simple logic that whenever each term is increased or altered uniformly, you can alter the average accordingly. So if each term is decreased by 2, so average will be, overall average will be decreased by 2. Here, this difference 25 is given to all the terms. It means that for each term, for each person, mark is increased by 1, and you can find the correct average by adding this 1 with this given average. So given average is 89 and add this 1, so you get the correct average as 90. So now you can find the correct average by using a shortcut. So here this 89 is the given average. So to find the correct average, so this can be got by, so with the existing average, that is the given average, so we add or subtract, so difference between the entries. Difference between the entries or difference between the sum, both will be same. So difference in entries by number of terms. So when the overall total sum of correct entries is more than the overall sum of the wrong entries, it will be plus here. And if overall sum of correct entries is lesser than the overall sum of wrong entries, so we take minus here. So when you are asked to find the correct average, find the difference between the wrong and correct entries and then divide that with the number of terms, you get the increase or decrease in average. Suppose if this difference is positive, so average will be increased. So you choose the options so which are more than 89. Suppose if the wrong and correct entry is lesser than the wrong entry, will have minus and the average will decrease, and you can choose the options which are lesser than 89, or you can eliminate the options which are more than 89. Here given average is 89, and as in this problem, so difference between the entries is positive, that is plus 25, and number of terms is also 25, so we divide this with 25. So given average 89 and the increment in the average will be 1, because this implies that each term is increased by 1, so average also increases by 1 accordingly, and the correct average is 90. So in the case of wrong entries, to find the correct average, you find the difference between the entries. So overall if it is positive, average will increase. Overall if it is negative, average will decrease. So find the increment in those terms and add or subtract accordingly with the given average. So here given average is 89 and increment in each term is 1. So correct average is increased by 1, 90. So now we'll see the shortcut. So the shortcut here is correct average equal to given average plus or minus difference in entries by number of terms. So here you have to note 2 points. The plus or minus implies, so plus implies whenever the overall total of correct entries is more than the overall total of wrong entries, we have positive sign and the average will be increased. So correct average will be more than the given average. Suppose if the correct sum is lesser than the overall sum of wrong entries, so then we will take minus and the correct average will be lesser than the given average. And in this case, as we are replacing the terms, number of terms will be same always. So it doesn't change. The value of n doesn't change. So now we'll see the next concept, alligation.